Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So you can see the position, right?
Yep.
Okay. So yeah, today's lesson is going to be about formation of plans. And okay, so talk to me about this position. So white's move.
All right. So white controls the open H file, which
Yep.
he'll want to take advantage of.
Mhm.
But he has a weakened B3 pawn,
Mhm.
which black might be able to take advantage of. White can easily take advantage of the open file by doubling up. So like rook H something and then rook A H1.
Mhm.
Whereas it's harder for black to take advantage of the pawn because if he wants to open up a file to use his rook or queen against it, he has to take on A4.
Mhm.
And the pawn will be on A4, and it's kind of hard to use that.
Yep.
So I would say that white has the advantage, and on the other hand, or other factors, the light-scored bishop is sort of hemmed in by the pawn on D5, which we can't get rid of.
Yep.
So its range is limited, but I guess it can contribute to a kingside attack from like bishop E4. What else? Black's rooks are less active, and it's harder to activate them, maybe. But actually, you could play like rook H8, and that would sort of neutralize threats down the H file, maybe.
Right.
Black's knight isn't great. Well, it's actually kind of terrible, but it's attacking a weakness on B3, so maybe it's not so bad.
It's true.
And let's see. It's harder for black to get his queen over to the king side than it is for white because white has a space advantage in the center.
I agree.
So we could just give up the B pawn on B3 and transfer the queen over to the king side for the attack.
True.
And we would probably win faster than he would be able to do anything on the queen side. So I guess that's all I can say about the position.
Okay. I think you pretty much nailed everything. So tell me where black is weak again.
So black is weak on the king side, down the H file particularly.
Is there any other place he's weak?
E7 is weak.
Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, so you've pretty much broken down the position as much as it can be broken down. Okay, now the question is, how do these signposts guide us to the right plan? So, what do you think is the most important factor of what you mentioned?
Probably, given that black can counter H-file activity, it's probably the fact that the white queen can get over to the king side a lot faster than the black queen can, I would think.
I agree. Also, which piece would you say is the most out of play currently?
The light-scored bishop, I would say.
More so than the knight?
Oh, for both sides.
Yeah, for both sides.
Yeah, the knight's probably the most out of play piece, and it's the hardest to get back into the game.
Okay, so given that, what should white do?
Well, I would say...
Okay, well, let's talk about... Okay, so what are some moves you consider here? So give me, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 moves you consider here.
So, queen c2 puts pressure against g6, which we can also load up against with, like, bishop e4.
Okay.
And if he tries to defend by pushing, then our bishop will control h7, and then our rooks can get in really easily. So that seems like a good idea. It also maintains defense of the b3 pawn while we're forming the attack. Other than that, we could...
So queen c2 is one. Anything else?
Something like queen d2 threatening queen h6.
Okay.
Seems like it could be useful. But if he immediately plays rook h8 after that, then we don't really have anything.
Okay.
Let's see. Taking, as people are suggesting, taking on b5 would I think that might actually be a bad idea because it gives black the open A file
Okay.
to use, so probably avoid taking on b5.
How about just doubling immediately?
Oh, so just immediately maybe rook h3 or something,
Sure.
or
I mean, do you think that's a viable idea, or you think it's just bad?
well, if we try to double immediately, he's just going to play rook h8, and then if we try doubling up, then he'll take, and then we only have one rook on the h file, and we've lessened the possibilities for an attack later on, I think.
Okay, but I mean, isn't he gonna be able to play rook h8 against pretty much any move we play?
Yes.
Okay. What's the difference then?
So maybe doubling up immediately is a good idea with the because then he only has one rook to defend on the king side if he wants to bring it over. In which case, our queen will be more of a factor, maybe.
Right. Okay. Well, you've kind of hit upon an important point here. So the important point is okay. So the H file is a weakness, is it not?
It is.
Okay.
Yes.
But if we assume that it's the only weakness that black has, it's difficult for us to capitalize because, as you said, black can neutralize it, right?
Right.
Okay, so this is an important point in chess in general, that oftentimes when you find a weakness, it's not enough just to bear down and attack that weakness as much as possible. Because oftentimes the defensive resources of your opponent will be able to outweigh your attacking resources. And in this case, in particular, nothing concrete can be gained by simply trying to force our pieces down the H file. It's a trump card, but it's not something that we can hang our hat on, so to speak. So what else can we look at to try to distract black from doing what he'd want to do?
Well, so going back to like the queen d2 idea, threatening queen h6, if he tries to take control of the h file, then we could play something like queen e3, putting pressure against e7.
That's true.
But actually, that's kind of easily defended against just by bringing the queen back, I would think.
Okay.
So aside from that, let's see. I don't know. Well, like the weaknesses I think are g6 and e7 aside from the h file. So maybe get the bishop into the game immediately with bishop e4, and then just put more pressure against the weak points we already know are there. Maybe.
Okay, so we mentioned the h file as a weak point, and you mentioned e7 as a weak point. Is there anything else that you can think of that might be weak point that could tie into what we're thinking about? It's kind of subtle, but
Well, so like e6 is a really weak square that we can take advantage of.
That's true. But is there something that we can maybe use to our benefit in conjunction with our h file plan?
So queen d2 doesn't just threaten like queen up; it also threatens rook to h6. So we could really pile up against g6, which is hard for him to defend.
But
because he only has a king on it.
Does queen d2 threaten something else? Indirectly.
Oh, so then if we play queen d2, we're on the knight, and the problem is that if he tries to contest the h file, then after trading off, the only thing defending it is the queen, so the queen will be stuck defending the knight.
So is there a way for us to maybe increase the pressure on that knight?
Oh, so we can take on b5 first, and then we have a rook attacking, and the rook will actually be pinned, or the knight will be actually pinned to the rook in a sense, because then we'd have complete control of the h file if he tried anything. So he takes b5.
Very good. So the key idea is that the h file alone is not enough, but if we can combine it with a bit of a double attack on that knight on a5, we can actually force black to do something that he might not want to do. So this is where the combination of kind of the planning and the calculation comes into play. Because if you played queen d2 immediately, then after rook h8, rook takes pawn, I can simply play knight takes b3 and fork your queen and rook, and that's probably bad news for you. So,
Yeah.
yeah, move order is crucial here. Move order is crucial. So you hit the nail on the head. The right move is pawn takes pawn. But this is not over yet, because queen takes pawn. Okay, so now you wanted to play what now?
So now queen d2
Right.
seems reasonable.
So now, of course, if rook h8, so just for people who don't see, if rook takes, so now the rook cannot take because this knight would hang. You have two attackers, only one defender. And if king takes, of course, this is brutal after queen h6 and queen takes g6.
Check.
This is just over. Black's mated. Rook h1 is coming. So this is no good. But this queen h6 is a bit of a problem, because if knight takes b3, for example, this queen h6 will be too strong. Queen h7, queen g6 check, and then this rook will hang as well. So king d8, and then rook takes a8. This is just hopeless as well. So this doesn't work. So black is really going to have to stop queen h6. So instead, black has to play g5. Okay. So black had to make a further concession. And what is that concession?
So he's created light squared weaknesses on the king side.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now how to take advantage of g5 being played?
So, well, I think the first sort of problem is that now knight takes b3 is threatened again, forking queen and rook,
True.
I guess.
True.
So we have to worry about that.
It's a good point. Is there a way we can maybe combine attack and defense? Remember, what else was weak? What else was weak?
So if we play here queen e3, we're attacking e7, and we're defending... Or so then if he plays knight takes b3, then rook b1 pins the knight to the queen and wins it, probably.
Well, doesn't win it.
Well, he could play c4.
But there's actually a forced mate there. Do you see it? After knight takes b3.
Let's
see a forced mate?
Okay, so queen e3, knight takes b3, queen takes e7. If he interposes, then we play...
Then where's the mate?
Where is the mate? Let's see. Oh, but then we can play rook h7 check.
Yes, and then?
And if he takes, then we can take the rook, and
and
afterward...
then?
Okay, so queen takes e7, rook f7, rook h7, king takes h7, queen takes f7, check.
Yep.
So then he either goes to h8 or h6.
And then?
If he goes to h6, then we can play bishop e4.
Think again.
Oh, then we have the rook. We have the other rook we can use.
Yep.
So rook h1 is just mate.
And then if he goes the other way?
If he goes h8, then that's still mate. Rook.
Okay, so say it one more time.
Okay, so the full line from the beginning.
Yep.
Queen e3, knight takes b3, queen takes e7 check, rook f7.
Okay, what if he goes king g6?
Oh, king g6, then bishop. Oh, but he can interpose the pawn.
Yeah, that's better.
So then, let's see. So king g6. Oh, so then bishop h5 maybe?
There's better.
Oh, but then we could just play queen h7 at that point.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, because our rook's covering it, and that's just mate.
Okay, what happens if king g8?
If king g8, then we can play... Oh, just queen h7 is mate.
Okay, and then if rook f7?
And if rook f7... Oh, then we're just back to the same position where we play rook h7. Drawing.
Okay,
drawing
so for everyone who could not follow what we were saying, I will show it on the board. So this mates, because if king here, this is mate.
Checkmate.
If here, this is mate.
Checkmate.
And if here, then check.
Check.
It's a cute move. So now if the king moves anywhere, queen takes f7 just wins. So he has to take, and then check. And then this is mate.
Checkmate.
And this is mate.
Checkmate.
Okay, so after a little bit of guidance, 15 saw all the lines. And so the correct move is queen e3. So it defends b3, even though it didn't really need defense per se, but also more importantly, it attacks e7. Okay, so now we're getting our pieces into place. So now, after queen to e3, black has to try to defend, and so black gets his queen back into the game. Queen to d7.